What's good, Smokeaholics? Welcome back to another episode of Smokeaholicstv. And today, pot roast. I asked a question on my social media and I tallied the votes, and here we go. We got pot roast today. Before we get started though, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell. Alright, so we have here some beautiful chuck roast. As you can see, which I hate saying that, so that's the only time I'm gonna say that this video. If you watched my first video, you probably heard me say "as you can see" a million times. Second video, you heard me sniffle a million times. This video, I promise not to do nothing obnoxious. We got beautiful chuck roast, and this is what you're looking for when you're picking a roast. You want to find something with a lot of marbling. Fat equals flavor, people. So I looked for the most marbled steaks I could find, and this is what we ended up with. So as usual, we are going to drizzle them with some olive oil. And normally, before I pan sear any meat, and I know we talked about this in the past videos, pan searing. Today you're gonna get to see it, and you'll see why. You'll see the beautiful product that it turns out in the end. But normally I wouldn't season anything before I pan sear it, for the simple fact that a lot of time it burns or it puts off an off-putting odor in the house. But I found a product that's made for searing, and I want to try it today. It's kind of got some ground breadcrumb in it and some interesting things. So I'm going to try it out today, and you can try it with me. I'm not going to share the name of the product. You may see it on the glass, you may not, but I'm not going to share it because I'm not sponsored. And once I start getting sponsorships, I'll start sharing products. But we're going to use this. This is a garlic and peppercorn searing agent. So I'm gonna see what it does. Give it a little, hit it a little liberally. And y'all know the motto: what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So we're gonna flip it over and do that same thing. We're gonna get this seared up, and then we're gonna sear some of these beautiful peppers and onions that we have here. And we're gonna slide this bad baby in the oven. We're gonna roast it. It is a roast after all. Alright, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go preheat this skillet, piping hot. We'll be back in just a second, and I'll show you how we get this thing seared up. Alright, we are back. And as you can, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna say "as you can see." Y'all gotta help me with that. Alright, we have a hot skillet, screaming hot, and what we are going to do is we're going to get these roasts. I can do this without turning on my phone. Right. You know what? I'm gonna do them one by one. And the reason being, if you put both of them in there at the same time, you're gonna crowd the pan, you're gonna cool the pan off, and you're not gonna get a good even sear. So I'm gonna do these one by one. Now the reason we are doing this, I'm not going to get too technical. It's called the Maillard reaction, but we're not going to get too technical. You're going to pan sear this to put a crust on it. It releases the natural sugars in the beef, and it builds a savory profile that just turns out for a better product. Plus it looks better. You'll see at the end. A lot of times you'll see people cook a pot roast and they don't sear it. They just put it in a pan. They put their raw vegetables in with it, and they slide it in the oven, and it comes out looking blah. It's edible. I'm sure it's probably even pretty tasty, but is it the best it could be? Is it super delicious? I doubt it. I'm gonna show you how to get this super deliciousness. We're looking for super deliciousness, and all of our proteins gonna be GBD. Everything I do, golden brown and delicious. That's what I do, man. Golden brown and delicious. So we're gonna let this sit here for a minute on this side, sear it up. We're not gonna touch it. It'll tell you when it's ready. We're gonna flip it over, and we'll be back. Oh, hey. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes, and we are back, and we're gonna flip this, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. My phone is up. Do you see what I mean? Look at the crust, look at the sear on there. That is what you're looking for when you're doing a roast, when you're doing a steak. If you're cooking oxtails indoors, that's what you're looking for. You want to put everything in that pan and stir that. Get that good crust on there. caramelize that fat and lock in those juices. That's what we're doing today. And also it's GBD, man. It's golden brown and delicious. It's beautiful. It's what we do. The reason we're doing everything indoors today is because it is a blistery 20-something degrees and snow outside. So we're not going to the grill today. I know it's Smokeaholicstv, but we're going to remain indoors today. We're going to light this fireplace, so that's going to give us our smoke and our fire. And we're going to come right back. I'm going to do the same thing to this side. I'm going to sit that other one. Then I'm going to show y'all how to get the vegetables together. Be right back. Okay, we are back, people. We are back. And look at here. This is what we have. We got GBD on both pieces of our pot roast. I didn't tell you before, but this piece here is approximately 3.6 pounds prior to being cooked. And the other one is approximately 2.6 pounds prior to being cooked. Okay, so we got both roasts pan seared. What we're going to do now is go right in the same skillet. And this is why I love roast and things like this. I love one pot dishes. So we're gonna come right in the same pot and pan with some of the onion. The rest of this onion is for my cabbage. We're gonna do some fried cabbage to go along with this. We're gonna do some garlic mashed potatoes to go along with this. So right now we've got some poblanos and some bell pepper, poblano and red bell pepper. I'm gonna wait before I add my garlic. We already talked about that. We don't want to burn our garlic. Heat down just a little bit. Good sear on these veg. You can see those onions already taking some color. You already know we're looking for translucent. We talked about this before. We want our onions and our peppers to get a good sear on them. A lot of people, like I say, man, when they making roast and things like this, they use raw veg. That's cool. Raw veg is cool, but this releases all of those natural sugars and flavors of the vegetable itself. This enhances the flavor. Anything you can do to enhance flavor, I don't know about you, but that's what I want to do. Look at that. It's 2021 and they still ain't came out with smell-o-vision. We're going to now come in with some of the garlic, and we're going to reserve some of this garlic for our mashed potatoes and our fried cabbage. So today we went with, I would normally do this with green bell pepper and red bell pepper, but with the weather being what it is in Texas, everybody storms the stores, everybody storms everything, man, when we find out we're going to have any bad weather in Texas because we're just not used to it. So oddly enough, there was no green bell pepper in the store. So the next best choice was poblano. The only difference between a poblano and a bell, well, of course, besides them being two different peppers, is a poblano has just a little more kick to it than a bell pepper. Not hot as a jalapeno, but a little more kick than a bell pepper, which to me is just fine. So that was the natural progression. The next step was to go to a poblano. Alright, our veg is right where we want it to be. So what we are going to do is we're going to kill this fire and we're going to put our individual pieces of roast right on top of that veg so it has somewhere to sit. Let's turn him this way if he's playing. Anybody that know how to put a puzzle together, that's what we're doing right now. We're going to do that just like that. Now, we're going to come with our seasonings. We're going to go with a little paprika. We're going to come right over the top and you'll see me go around the edges. That way it gets down into the bottom of it without me having to season both sides, since I already have it arranged in the vessel that it's going to roast in. I'm going to go right around the sides and over the top. I've got a packet of onion soup. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I love onion soup and the flavor that it brings to a dish. So we're gonna go with some onion soup. I'm gonna come with some garlic salt, because I, for one, love garlic. And by now you should know this. I got some Chipotle 5 spice. Bring a little smokiness, a little sweetness to the situation. I've got some onion powder. I've got some garlic powder. Yeah. We've already been through garlic a few times, but garlic is king when it comes to me anyway. And we've got, last but not least, some coarse ground black pepper. And we're gonna be liberal with it. Now, I know right now a lot of people would already be adding their root vegetables. I've seen it before. I've seen people right now put their carrots, their potatoes, everything in the skillet. I mean, in the roasting vessel or skillet. This basically is a brazier skillet, whatever you want to call it. They'll put it in there right now. I don't understand that. This roast has to go in the oven for a couple of hours. It does not take 2 hours to cook a potato. You're gonna end up with mush. So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna come back later. We're gonna add our potatoes and our carrots. We're not going celery today, and I'm using half of my potatoes for mash. So I'm only gonna put a few potatoes in here and some carrots. The rest of those potatoes I'm gonna mash up and make a garlic mash. Right now I'm adding a bone broth or a beef stock. Very important, never use water. You always wanna use a stock. Bone broth is great, man. It already has a ton of flavor. It's basically beef bone that's been roasted and then braised for about 12 hours, releasing all of those collagens and all of that marrow, and just giving you a bunch of unctuousness, man. So what we're gonna do now, we got this thing ready to go. I'm gonna cover it up. I'm gonna put it in the oven at 350 degrees. It's gonna take approximately 2 hours, but in about an hour and a half, we'll be back. I'm gonna add those potatoes, I'm gonna add those carrots, and I'm gonna show you what we got. All right, people, we are back. It's been about an hour and a half, and look at her. Roast has been going for about an hour and a half. We are almost at the final destination, but what we're gonna do right here is we're gonna go ahead and add those root vegetables that we talked about earlier. Now, like I said, if you would have already put your potatoes and your carrots and whatnot in here, they would be mush. You wouldn't have any bite to those potatoes or those carrots. And me, myself, I like my vegetable to still have a little bite to it. Of course, you want it soft, you want it done, but you don't want it mushed up and just a pile of starch off in your roast. So we're gonna add this right now. We're gonna put the lid back over here. We're gonna put this back in the oven, and we're gonna let it finish. And while it's doing this thing, I'm gonna fry the cabbage and I'm gonna finish my mashed potatoes. And the next time you see us, we'll be thickening this, turning this into a gravy, and we won't be far from plating. We just gonna put this thing back in the oven, and we'll see you in about 30 minutes. We back. Check it out. I just took this out of the oven. So I took it out of the oven, I set it on top of the stove, and that's all we've done. I did test this potato right here to make sure that they were soft, and you see what I mean? We got soft potatoes, softened carrots, but they still have texture. They're not mushed all up down off in there. That's exactly what I was looking for. So for this last part, we can do it right here on top of the stove. What I have here is a slurry, which is cornstarch and water, and that's gonna thicken this up and turn it into a gravy. So I'm gonna turn the stove on, medium to low. That right there. And what we gonna do is, we got this good slurry going. That's already hot, so you'll see it instantly start to bubble. You're just gonna disperse this around. Disperse this around the perimeter of the roast to the point that we want to thicken. Let me turn this down just a little bit. And we'll just stir it around. Look at that. Oh, that good old roast is turning up. It's good and tender. We're gonna thicken this good old gravy.
We got the fried cabbage over there already done. I'm gonna start a side series here in a minute because I got people starting to ask me about cooking sides. So if you guys want to know, we'll start on cooking some sides. Or sometime if y'all want me to just do the sides in the videos with the proteins, let me know in the comments. How y'all want to do it? On a day with just a couple of sides? Want the sides on the same days with the proteins? Leave me a comment down below, let me know. Anyway, look at this. It's just turning loose on us and turn up on us now. It's thickened. You see what I'm talking about? You see what we seeing? Oh. Just like that, you got gravy. And it's good and smooth. It's not lumpy. Now, if you would have just came over here and dumped some flour in there, you'd have had lumps. That's not what we want to do. We want to do that just like we just did it. Good, smooth, southern brown gravy on top of that pot roast. All that fat is rendered and the connective tissues just done gave way, and the meat is just, you see what that meat doing? That meat just breaking apart. Look at that. We're gonna turn this heat off and we're gonna get ready to plate this thing up. Alright guys, we've come to the end of the ride, and you know what time it is. We gonna plate. I took the liberty to go ahead and putting on some of these good garlic mashed potatoes and this fried cabbage. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna come right over the top with some of this good tender pot roast, just as such. We're gonna come right to here with some of them carrots. Got these rainbow carrots. Look at that. And then we're gonna come right over here with a couple of those good roasted potatoes. We're gonna get some of that good gravy that we made. We're gonna come right across the top, like that right there. Now I done told y'all, everything we cook is for the wow factor. Now you having company, when you come out with something like this right here, and y'all know how I am about my plates. Come out with something like that right there in front of your guests. And that's what we call Smokeaholics pot roast, garlic mashed potatoes, fried cabbage. Now y'all know I can't let y'all leave without tasting it. So let's go in. Done it again. Y'all know what it is. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of where? Up out of here. Until next time, see you back again on Smokeaholics TV for another moment. Peace.